Bismillah, Bismillah, in the name of Allah. Bismillah, Bismillah, in the name of Allah. In the name of Allah. In the name of Allah.
I'm just going to start off with a brief introduction, followed by the talk itself. And we're going to have a question and answer session at the end, and then start with that, inshallah. So Abu Hafsah was raised in Nova Scotia, which is on the east coast of Canada, and he was born blind. He's been blind since birth. And he embraced Islam in 1996, and he started wrestling at the age of 9 and went on to become the first blind person to be accepted into professional wrestling school. He started learning the Quran in Arabic Braille in 1997. Since embracing Islam, he has conveyed the message of Islam through Islamic workshops throughout various countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, Kenya, and others. So, without further ado, I'll present Abu Hafsah AdbulMalik Clare.
Alhamdulillah, Muslims, this is Reading, man. This is like the south of England. This is, the whole world is, well, not really, but you know, it's the south of England. I need a better salam than that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Many of you may wonder, how did this guy get here? Like, this is kind of Saudi-ish, right? Omani-ish. This clothes, I don't know where I got this from. The boots are North American, and he's obviously very pale-skinned Irish. So where did he come from? Well, my family did come from Ireland, and it was a really huge blessing to go there a few weeks ago. My family moved to the east coast of Canada, a place called Newfoundland. Have you ever heard of that place? No. Fair enough. But it's in the east coast of Canada, and it's very cold there. It can be like minus 30 degrees Celsius there. Very cold. And that's where I was born and raised for the first 5 years of my life at least. Then I moved with my mom to Nova Scotia. My mom moved there with us. She sold everything that she had and moved there so that I could go to a school that was mainly for students who can't see. That's how I was born. I was born without my eyesight. Alhamdulillah. So I started school there, and I would live there. From Sunday night until Thursday night, I would live at that school. And on Friday, my mom would come and get me on the public transportation so that I could go home on the weekends. And conveniently enough, she would do the grocery shopping for the house on that Friday. Right? And since we're Irish, we don't eat like biryani, we eat potatoes every day. Right? Every single day of your life, you'll eat potatoes. 18 different ways to make potatoes. And the Irish invented every single one of them. First of all, are there any Irish people here? So I can say whatever I want. No, yeah, but we, you know, that's what we used to do. So, guests would have to carry that 10-kilo bag of potatoes home every single Friday. That little kid that can't see, right? We had child labor even then, back in the 80s in Canada. So one day I got upset with my mom and I said, you know, I should get paid for this. I really should. I mean, I'm 5 years old. I have stock options. I have things to buy. I should get paid for this. She looked at me and she's like, okay, I'll pay you. I'll let you stay in my house. That's how I'll pay you. I'll let you eat from those potatoes that I cooked. I'll take you to school when you need to. I'll clean your clothes. I'll take care of you. I'll go, oh, gosh, okay, easy, Mom. Relax, Mom. Take it easy. You know, but that was my mom. My mom was very tough. I was an only child when I was growing up. And, you know, the image of the only child is that you're spoiled, right? Is that right? Well, the image of the only Irish child is you're blamed for everything. Everything that goes on, you're blamed for it. I went to Kenya in 2007. And they had a little political incident over there. They had riots over there in 2007. And I came home, and the first thing my mom said to me was, what did you say to make those Africans fight? I said, I didn't say anything to make them fight. So why didn't you stop them? So, you know, I got blamed for pretty much everything that went wrong in my house as the only child. And one day I came home and I wanted to quit school. I remember that. Mom, I'm done. Had it. I know everything I need to know. I'm 7, and I'm a man, and I want to quit school, and that's it. I've had it with school. I'm finished. So she went to me, okay, so today's your last day, huh? I said, yes, it is. Today's my last day, and I'm quitting. It's fabulous. So I went like this, because my mom would hit me at any moment in time. Even now, she has the best right hook in Eastern Canada. Right? Ahmed Ali would run from my mom. So I put my hands like this because I can't see to duck, but I could at least try to block, right? So she looked at me and she's like, no, I'm not going to hit you. Easy, you quit school. Today's your last day. Fabulous. But I want you to do one thing for me before you quit school. Anything. Go into the washroom with this cloth, clean the toilet. We say bathroom over here. We say washroom, bathroom. Laugh out. Go to the toilet, clean that toilet for me. So I went in and I cleaned it, all of it. Came out. She went in and she told me, I don't like that, do it again. So I did it the second time. I wasn't very happy with it, but I was okay because today was my last day of school and I was, okay with that. So she made me clean it 5 times, all together. And at the 5th time, I didn't like that anymore. I really did not care about putting. I had forgotten all about putting things by the 5th time. I came out, and she said, that's fabulous, good job. Now, did you like that? So I didn't like that at all. I'm 7. I'm a man. Right, brothers? I don't have to clean toilets anymore. I'm a 7-year-old man. I shouldn't have to do that. She looked at me and she said, well, since you quit school, you're going to be doing that for someone for the rest of your life. And I got real quiet. So she asked me, she said, where are you going to be tomorrow? Your first day of freedom, where are you going to be? You're going to be outside, what are you going to do tomorrow? I said, I'm going to be in school. I'll be in school. I'll be in the front row. And that's exactly where I stayed until I graduated high school. I was in the front row. Because my mom was very good at teaching me things. Now, in the summertime, we go visit my grandmother. And my grandmother is a lecturer by herself. That whole, that incident in Egypt that they had with all the protests and eventually they removed Mubarak, that would have taken my grandmother 20 minutes. That would have taken about 20, we could have did all the Arab countries in about 2 days tours. And they'd have no leaders after that, but my grandmother would have did the job for them. Because she taught my mom that right hook. And she was very serious. I remember, I could almost hear her in my head, right? When I got news of this tour, I could hear my grandmother almost saying to me, so, do you think you're impressing those people over in England, because she had an Irish accent, even though she was born in Canada? Do you think you're impressing them? So, you're a blind pro wrestler, so what? You went to England by yourself, so what? You only sat in the plane, you didn't fly it. You want to impress me? Swim home. I'm going to clap for your bloody earnings. She was like that. She was very serious about never letting me get too big on myself. But I asked her one day, I said, how come you're so tough with me? My cousins do all kinds of bad stuff. Especially my older cousin. He does all kinds of bad stuff. Why are you so tough with me and not him? Your oldest cousin, he's an Egypt, born of an Egypt, so he is. Means he's stupid and he came from someone who's stupid. That's what that's how we say I love you in Irish, right? And he'll go to jail, so he will. And he actually did. He ended up going to jail. So my grandmother told me, he said, you're the smart one, so I have to be tough with you, because if the world is easy with you, you'll be ready. And if the world is difficult with you, you'll be prepared. So she was rough with me, really rough with me. Hit me for no reason at all. Same with my uncles. I'd be just playing outside with my cousin, and my uncle would come and do this pop behind my head like that. So what'd you do that for? That's for something you did I didn't know about. So they were rough on me. My uncles were rough on me. My dad was rough on me. My mama. But I never felt abused. See that? Like nowadays, someone who had that, they would be on some kind of chat show in the front row talking about how they were abused by their parents. I never felt abused in my house. I always felt like everyone loved me. I always felt like that. Even I actually felt like I was my grandmother's favorite because she spent so much time dealing with me. I actually felt like I was her favorite. So, when I was 8, it should be no surprise to anyone that I wanted to be a wrestler. Because I had all the training at home. Right? So I went into my wrestling coach's office and I said, "Coach, I want to be a wrestler today." And I had no muscles at all. Very skinny. Like, I had like ribs from here going like just bones. Seriously, I was like the first skeleton that ever wanted to be a wrestler. So I went in and I wanted to be a wrestler and my coach kicked me out. "Get out of here, man. Too skinny. Go. Come back in a year." When I was 9, I came back. I was still very skinny. I wasn't much bigger than I was at 8. But I came in, same thing. "I want to be a wrestler, coach, today." He told me, "You wanted to kick me out again. Get out of here, man. Come back in a year." I said, No. You told me that last year, and I'm not leaving until I become a wrestler. And I'm like as tall as this, right? Very skinny, and I'm just yelling up at the coach. "Okay, well, since you're in such a hurry to get beaten up, today's your first day of wrestling." He put me in the wrestling ring with a bigger kid. And that boy, he beat me up. There you go. Let's leave it like that. You can't curse that already. So he beat me up. Much less you can't say bad words in White Knight Hall. Because you won't be White Knight no more. You'll be like the court jester or something. So I got beat up first day of wrestling, limped home. And I wanted the Arab mom, right? "Habibi, don't wrestle ever again, Habibi, don't wrestle. Sit and I'll make adas, right? You just don't worry." Or even the Desi mom I wanted, right? "Beta, don't wrestle. I'll make laddu. Don't wrestle ever again, beta, please." But I have an Irish mom. Well. So I lived home and I wanted to, spoil the Muslim boys and be rough with the Muslim girls' mom. I didn't have that. I had the Irish mom. So I came in my house. I was in her house, I'm sorry. I came in her house and I limped my way in. And she looked at me with all that Irish love in her eyes. She said to me, "What's your problem? What's wrong with you? Why are you walking like that?" I said, "Today I wrestled for the first day and I lost and I got beat up." So she looks at me again with all that Irish love in her eyes and she goes, "Well, it's not ballet. It's wrestling. Did I tell you to wrestle?" "No." "Did Coach tell you to wrestle?" "Actually, Coach told you not to wrestle, huh?" I said, "Yeah. Because you're too skinny. Last of the family people, like I always tell you. And that wrestler, that's his job to beat you up. And it looks like he did a very good job. I should call him and congratulate him on his performance today. So don't wrestle anymore, man. Quit. This is your last day. Stop wrestling. Don't go tomorrow." So the next day I was wrestling again. And I got beat up for 2 years. Every day. I didn't tell my mom because how much love I get. I got beat up for 2 years, every day. I would look better though. Like, the first time I fought, it was like 35 seconds, and I got beat up. Second time was like a minute, right? Minute and a half, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. I would look better, but I'd still get beat, right? Every day. But I transferred school. I went to a different school that was for mainly people who could see well. I was the only person who couldn't see in the building. And they had a wrestling league as well, so I went into that coach, and that coach was a real idiot. Real idiot. He'd beat up the wrestlers, like he'd wrestle the boys. He's like 40. Wrestling 12-year-olds, right? And he would actually they'd like pick them up and just slam, bang. That's how you do a body slam there. And the guys carried out. He'd wrestle them and beat them. So I tried out for that team, and I came out, and he put me in the ring with a boy smaller than me, which now, mashallah, 2 years later, I was getting kind of bigger. I went from skinny to slim. Slim is fashionable. So I beat that little boy, and I didn't beat him badly, but I won. I was very happy with my first victory. I thought that was it. If I can win here, I'm in. He made me wrestle 2 more boys, and I beat them both. For some reason, he was also wrestling boys as well, and he won, obviously, 40 years old. So one wrestler came to me and he said, you know, you should fight the coach. Why don't you wrestle the coach? And I'm Irish, right? Fight? Who said fight? And I couldn't just say, okay, it'll be an honor to fight the coach. I couldn't say that, right? No, I had to start doing this. I'll beat the coach's whole family and his grandmother. I'll beat the dog and I'll move into his house. The only problem is that the coach was like 5 feet away from me. And he heard everything I said. So he goes to me, he goes, will that be all, Mr. Clare? And I'm like, you know, all that stuff I said, that was just for show, you know that, right? Like, no, I accept your challenge. So I wrestled with the coach, we locked up, and everyone is like being quiet, you know, it's like kind of like this, right? Everyone's being really quiet, there's like 100 people, and they're watching us, and we're going back and forth for like 10 minutes. I'm a lot smaller than him, but I'm in better shape than him because he's like 40, right? And he doesn't know that I've been wrestling for 2 years and getting beaten up every day. So my body is used to abuse by now. And he can't do anything that hasn't been done to me before. So we get up after 10 minutes and he's very tired. You know, he's 40, you know, he's breathing really hard. He puts his hand to me like that and he goes, it's a draw. So I took his hand like from him and I just kind of pulled him in quickly. And at the same time I jumped and I kind of pushed him off balance and I landed on top of him. Now, the wrestling count that you guys see on TV, I know brothers don't watch that, but the wrestling count is like 1, 2, 3. That's normal. And that's how it was on that day as well. But in my head, it was like 1, 2, 3. And I remember thinking, I think it was the first time I ever prayed in my life. Like, oh my God, let this referee count faster because if this man gets up, I will be dead. He's going to kill me for real. But he didn't get up, and I beat him for 3. And everyone in the building started to yell and make noise, and all the guys were yelling, and all the pretty little 12-year-old girls, I was 12 too, so don't worry. All the pretty 12-year-old girls were yelling. And I felt like Justin Bieber, 1987. I was in the middle of the ring like that. I was so happy that I got this noise from the people. And I knew what I wanted to be. At that moment when I was 12 and my coach was like laid out in the middle of the ring, I knew that I wanted to be a pro wrestler. At 12. Some of us hit 30 and don't know what they want to be. I was 12 and I had it in my head. This is what I want to be. Forget all the PhDs and BAs and BS. I want to be a pro wrestler so that everyone's going to yell for me every day. And that's what I wanted. So I would study the pro wrestlers that I was exposed to. This is back in the 80s, right? Last century. Okay, let's leave it like that. Back in the 80s. Let's not start that last century stuff. Brothers start feeling old. But I would study guys like Hulk Hogan, right? You guys know Hulk Hogan? Yeah, sisters don't like him. That's okay. I wasn't a big fan either. My guy was Ric Flair. I liked Flair. Because Flair looked like he was having fun. He had all the nice Rolexes and all the bling and all the gold and all the pretty girls. And Hulk Hogan just had that little belt and the shirt that would tear off at will. And I didn't want that. I could buy me a belt if I wanted one. I didn't need a belt. So I liked Ric Flair. And Ric Flair was very animated. I would walk and act and talk like him everywhere I went. It would drive my teachers crazy. But they would laugh a lot, so they wouldn't kick me out. Because I was a very humorous kid, and I wouldn't swear. I wouldn't have this bad language. I didn't have a bad mouth. I just had a very big one. And it was on autopilot almost all day. So my teachers really liked that. It was kind of humorous for them. But one day a wrestling coach came to me and he said, listen, you're a wrestler. It wasn't the one I beat up, it was a different one. So you're a wrestler. And these kids, they look up to you. These little kids in the school, these 7 and 6-year-olds look up to you. And they want to be just like you. You should be a little bit more humble, don't you think? So I'm like, wow. Coach, it's hard to be humble when you're great, man. And that's exactly, I was 14, that's exactly what I said to him. It's hard to be humble when you're great, coach. He got real mad and kind of walked away. But my friends wrestled, and one of them was smaller than I was. He got beat up by a big wrestler, like a 300-pound wrestler. Something like 140 kilos or 150 kilos, anyway. So he beat up my friend. I didn't like that. I came in the ring and slapped. Pop! Big slapped him right here. Bang! And then he started like, obviously he got really upset, right? You don't hit 300-pound wrestlers, and they don't usually like that. So he starts like, he wants to kill my family, bulldoze my house, do all this stuff to me. And I'm not an angel, so I'm talking back to him as well. We're kind of talking to each other badly. So we agreed to wrestle. I went in the locker room. One of the wrestlers looked at me and he's like, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, but he's kind of bigger than you. You know that? I don't care. I'm Irish and I'm 98 pounds. That has to account for something. 300 pounds, I'm 98, so you can't beat me. Superman, Ric Flair. Now, when you can't see, you don't realize how big 300-pound wrestlers are, or the damage that they can do. You don't have any, because it's just a number, right? It's just 300, it's just a number to you. You don't know that, that's a lot of weight. You don't know that. I'm not even 300 pounds now, and I'm not small. So he was really big, and I had no earthly perception of what that meant. So I came out, and I ran across the ring, and I hit him with this arm, this clothesline. It's called a clothesline. Bang! As hard as I could, which being 98 pounds wasn't very hard. And he was in my head, like my thought pattern is that I'm supposed to hit him with that, and he's supposed to fall, and then I'm supposed to do my moves, and I'm supposed to win. Well, when I hit him, he just looked at me. He just stood there. He's like that. He's on the beach somewhere. He just stood there. And all of the Ric Flair showboating, cockiness vanished. Just like that. It's kind of like walking up a gangway, like a gangplank, and realizing that there's no ship at the top. Because I was done for. I was just like stuck in the middle of the ring. And I went to him, I'm like, we can just be friends, right? Because I know I slapped you in that, but can we just be friends? I'm sorry. He's like, oh no, is it my turn? And he just kind of picked me up. He just went real slow. And I was way high up here. And I was like trying to get away, doing all this crap. None of that's working. And he looks at the people and he goes, which row do you want him in? Do you want him up the top, 5th row, 4th? I'm going to throw him wherever you want him. Where do you want him? And I'm upset, like I'm getting altitude sickness. I'm way high up. And I thought, man, if I could see from here, I could probably see England. I could probably look all the way and see England from here. Because he had me high up. And he took 3 steps back and he went like this and he just went 1, 2. He did like 10 free squats with me like that. And then he went boom and he put his knee right here. And yeah, that's exactly what I said. Along with a few other words that I can't say at the White Knight Hall. And then he landed on top of me and he pinned me and he beat me. And I lost, right? So I limped home again. Didn't tell my mom because, we all know how that went last time. I got beat up and I told her. So I went home, I was out of wrestling for about a month. Right? I still get lower back pain to this day from that wrestling match. But I learned a very valuable lesson on that day. And I learned that you have to really prepare for things. And you can't keep shooting off your big mouth because someone is better than you are. And I learned that when you slap 300-pound wrestlers, they get really angry and they hurt when they hit you. It's not fake. They hurt when they hit you. So I learned that very valuable lesson early on. But it didn't stop me though. Because I came back, after a month and I was showing off again. I accused him of cheating and, he didn't cheat. He beat me fair and square. But I couldn't let that go. He cheated. I didn't know he was that big. So I was still very cocky. But in 1992, which was around the same time as that had all happened, I started to learn some other very valuable lessons. I read a book by Alex Haley called Roots. You guys ever read that?
Yeah.
Anyone? You read the book, right? You didn't just like watch the movie? Ah, come on. Watch that. Anyway, but the book in Braille, that book was like 1,731 pages. It took me 2 months to read it, and I read it by hand. So you guys can like read it with your eyes, inshallah, because it is a good book. And once you start reading it, it's going to be very difficult for you to stop. It's the historical account of an African family, well, an African boy who gets kidnapped and brought to America to work as a slave. And his family from that generation all the way to the 1970s when the author actually returns back to Gambia. So it's a very interesting book. And I also read another book by that same author. And that book was the autobiography of Malcolm X. Some of you guys read that, right? Sisters read that one, just to give credit where credit belongs, because my sisters are dynamic. I don't like to leave them out. So I read that, and I was fascinated by Malcolm. Ric Flair kind of ceased to exist in my eyes on that day. And because of the fact that Malcolm could captivate a whole audience for like an hour, 45 minutes, none of them would leave, and none of them would get excited, and he would just captivate them by his words and by his message. Ric Flair taught me how to speak, but Malcolm taught me how to listen. I was captivated by the way he said things and by his conviction, and that he actually really and truly believed what he said. And around that same time, I was going to after parties, right? Because you wrestle, and when you win, you get to go to the after party. When you lose, you ride home on the bus, and that's it. Nothing happens to you. Because I had lost, and I wasn't invited to nothing when I was losing. When I would win, I get invited to go out and hang out with the other winners. It's your job. You're a wrestler. So I would do that. But when all the after party foolishness was done, all the pretty girls had gone home, right? All the other wrestlers had gone home. I would be by myself in my house as well, and I'd start to think to myself, is that it? Like, is that really all there is? Is that really all I'm here for? And I always believed in my Creator. I wasn't an atheist. Like, I didn't really subscribe to organized religion because I had a problem with the imagery. I had a problem with God being, me being in the image of God, and us being in the image of God, because we all look different. I mean, I don't see very well, but I know we all look different. So this being in the image of God stuff didn't go very far with me. So I didn't really subscribe to any organized religion, but I did believe in a Creator, in one Creator. So I would pray in my own way, and I'd be like, if you're real, none of this Allahumma stuff. I didn't know any of that. If you're real, my science teacher and my biology teacher say you're not, but I believe you're real. And I need to know why it is I'm here. I need some guidance. If you can do that, thank you very much, kind of thing. And around that time, Malcolm X, when I was listening to him, he would talk about a way of life. And he called that way of life Islam. And that word fascinated me, because every other faith that I had known about, and this is just I'm not condemning faiths. I'm not. You have the right to believe whatever you want, and that's fabulous. That's a right that you have. Even in Islam, you have the right to believe as you wish. And we're just here discussing ideas and sharing information with you. But I noticed that Islam was not named after a person or a place or a thing. And that captivated me. I was tired of worshiping people and different things of that nature. So Islam it's not even called Allahism, right? It's not. It's called Islam. And those who practice it are called Muslims. And that's what I learned. That those Muslims are those people who submit themselves with peace to the will of their Creator. And I really, that fascinated me. That word fascinated me. So Malcolm talked about the God of these Muslims. The God that they worship. And he described him as being one. And not only one, but unique in his oneness. Meaning that there's nothing like him. There's no statue or no tree or no person like Allah, like God. And even him, we're limited to saying things like that because of the language. But there's nothing like it. That's what the Muslims believe. That Allah is unique in His oneness. And I was fascinated by that as well because, again, there was no imagery. And I thought it's unfair that everyone else gets to see statues of God and I don't. So I thought it either should be all of us can see Him or none of us can. And Islam was very clear on that when we're taught that none of us can see Him. So I was fascinated by this, but I couldn't find one missing ingredient. Couldn't find the Muslims. I didn't know where they were. So Malcolm would talk about Arabs, right? He went to pilgrimage, so we would talk about the Arabs. So I knew where the Arabs were. They were in the kebab houses and the pizza stores in my neighborhood, right? In the convenience stores. So I would go looking for them, they kicked me out. You don't have any money, you can't stay here. Get out, come back tomorrow. So he would mention our brothers from the subcontinent, right? Our Desi brothers. And I didn't know them except that they drove taxis. So I would take taxis for no reason at all. And then they'd be like, because I'm a kid, and I used to dress like an idiot. Like I would wear all red and red shoelaces in my Adidas and, you know, Los Angeles Lakers hat. So you know what I looked like. I looked like a little gang member. And I wasn't though, but I looked like one. So they'd be like, you know, if you're going to sit in my cab, you have to pay up front. Otherwise, get out. I'm like, he doesn't trust me at all, so let me just go about my way. So I couldn't find any Muslims. I couldn't find like Islamic awareness weeks like this. I couldn't find it. So I would just like read and learn things about Islam when I could from encyclopedias and different things like that. And in 1996, do you guys remember how many matches I won when I first started wrestling? 0, right? Absolutely none. In 1996, I didn't lose any. I won 29 straight matches in 96. I was very happy about that. And I got a job offer for the summer, for 3 weeks in July, to go to Toronto. You guys know Toronto. You don't know Nova Scotia, but you all know Toronto. That's where the money is at, right? I came off the airplane, I was Ric Flair all over again. Right? I was bigger then because I was working out 3 times a day, so I had like a little bit of muscles, right? Came off the. You've never seen an Islamic speaker dance in your life, right? What is he doing? Not supposed to dance. This is not like anything you've ever heard, I'm quite certain about that. And I'll leave it to you to decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't normally talk like your average speaker. I like to be very animated. That way you don't fall asleep. And I don't fall asleep up here. So I got off the airplane, and the first person I met, well, one of them anyway, was a Pakistani girl. Right? So I come to her, and she says her name was like the day where you introduce yourselves to your co-workers and all that stuff. So she said her name. I'm not going to say it. I promised her I wouldn't say it. I said, you know, that's a funny name. I'm so shy, right? Where'd you get that from? That's not your real name. That's not you. Come on. Your name is Lisa. Tell me the truth. It's like, no, that's my real name. I said, all right, I'm in Toronto, you know. What kind of name is that? I said to her. She told me that's Arabic. And again, it flashed in my head. Malcolm X is talking about Arabs. He went to Hajj. Arabic? So you're Muslim, huh? Like, yes, I am. I want to be Muslim too. She's like, what do you know about it? About Islam? Nothing. I just know that the Muslims believe in God as one and unique in His oneness, and I want to be Muslim right now, today. It's like, well, okay, let me go home. No, you're not going home. No. Because I thought to myself, I caught me a Muslim, and I'm not letting go. She can't kick me out of the taxi because I'm not in the taxi. Her dad's not going to kick me out of the kebab house. I caught a Muslim, and that's it. I'm not letting go at all. That's my hostage, right? You know, we don't have any forced conversion things. We don't believe in that. It's not part of our religion to force convert someone. What happens if the one who wants to convert is like forcing you? That's what it was like on that day. I had me a Muslim hostage, and I'm not letting go. But anyway, she calmed me down, which happens to be like a trend in my life, people having to calm me down. But she calmed me down. She's like, listen, I'm going to come back tomorrow and work here just like you. If I don't come back, they're going to fire me. So I need to get that book, because the book that I'm going to get from my dad talks about the 5 pillars of Islam. Alhamdulillah, she brought the book, because I thought it was a big deal. After work, we sat together in a public place, and she starts talking to me about the pillars of Islam. Now, I'm really not listening to her. We went through the whole book like that. Just her talking and me listening to the first like 10 seconds and then just drifting off. Because she could have told me that the moon was made out of cream cheese. And I would have been like, okay, where's my bagel? You know? Because I really did not listen to her at the time. She finished off the book. Jazakallah khair, may Allah reward her for reading it. And she goes to me, she goes, did you understand that? I'm like, yeah, can I be Muslim now? And she said, well, you know, since you're so patient, and she taught me the Shahada. And on July 3rd, 96, I said, bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship besides God, besides Allah in reality. And we bear witness that Muhammad is his last and final messenger. And that's how I became Muslim. My work finished, my 3-week, thing, whatever it was, finished. They paid me, and I was on an airplane, went home. And remember, my home is a lot different than Toronto. I couldn't find the Muslims, like I said. So I'm on an airplane. It's a 2-hour flight, but it felt more like a 2-day flight. So I started thinking to myself, what am I going to do? There's no Muslims in my place. I'm going to have to build a mosque in my yard. I'm going to have to slaughter my own animals. I don't know what to say. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Bismillah. Can I use a gun? Oh no, I'm Muslim, we're not allowed to have guns. I knew that part at least. How am I going to get married, right, brothers? Oh man, there's no people here. These people are going to kill me because I became Muslim and I betrayed them. Those were all things going through my head at the time. So my mom met me in the baggage place. Hey, what's going on? How was your trip? How was your job? And how did they treat you? And how did everything go? And I'm like, guess what I did? She's like, well, when's the court date? And how much is your bail? No, Mom, it's nothing like that. I said, oh my God, it's worse than I thought. What's her name? I'm like, no, it's nothing like that either. I said, what'd you do? I became a Muslim. And I'm right in the baggage place. You know where they take the luggage, comes down from the belt? I was right there. So she's like, can we talk about this when we get home? I'm like, no, I want to talk about this right now. Because I thought, if she kills me in the baggage claim, someone's going to witness it, and they may report it. So at least I'll have some witnesses to my murder. So she calmed me down again. Someone else had to calm me down. Calm me down. Listen, let's go home. Let's talk about this becoming Muslim stuff. I went home with her, and obviously she didn't kill me because I'm here. But she was very happy, actually, because she saw a number of my friends who were getting into trouble. I actually knew one wrestler who actually committed suicide because of steroids. So she was seeing a lot of people around me getting into things that they shouldn't have gotten into. And I never, alhamdulillah, experimented with drugs or anything in my life. And when I told her that I became Muslim, the only thing that she was concerned about was as long as you're safe, as long as you're happy, and as long as you're not going to jail. And my dad too. My dad was like that too. And my stepdad. They were all like that. Now, in my community, I found 2,000 people who were playing hide and seek before. I think you know who I'm talking about, right? Our brothers. I go to the mosque, right? I come out, and first of all, I had to learn about the mosque in Toronto. They gave me a list of the mosques in my area, which I was shocked that there was actually one. So I came out, and all of a sudden it's like this, right? Assalamu alaikum, brother. Like, brother? I don't know you, man. You came out the Kebab house last year. Brother? Yes, now you're a Muslim, brother. You're the one who wouldn't let me ride the taxi unless I paid up front. Now you're my brother. And I got really, it kind of made me sad. I mean, I get it now, but it kind of made me sad because I'm like, you guys came at the end. I had to go through provinces, years of looking. And now all of a sudden, you guys come when your job is done at the end. I was really kind of like, I mean, I get it now. I was sad at the time because I thought they have this gift. And they didn't even give me the chance to say no. Much less say yes. I would have said yes anyway. But at least give me the chance to say yes. Or yes. It's kind of like, who studies medicine in here? Doesn't medicine, who studies medicine? Pharmacy. Alright, fabulous. Even pharmacy. Let's do that. Let's say, Hafsah, right?
Yeah.
Let's say Hafsah has a neighbor. And that neighbor is sick. And they've been sick for years and years and years and years. And Hafsah knows the cure. Like, it's not a cure that's like researched and looked at, and it's an actual cure. She knows that they have that cure. Should she keep it from them? Yes or no? No, right? Because they can take it if they want. It's up to them if they want to take it. But at least she said, listen, you know, neighbor, I have a cure for this thing that bothers you. At least let me share it with you. That neighbor can tell Hafsah, nope, I'm very happy with this, I'm very happy with it, fabulous. But at least Hafsah made the offer. And that's all I really wanted at the time was an offer. And there's thousands of people like me running around Canada and running around the UK and England and London and Scotland and Ireland, which is not part of the UK. So this sister sent me a cassette tape collection of the Quran. It was in Arabic and English. I opened it and put the first tape in my player, the first cassette in my player. I heard, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. That's what I heard. That was the first time I actually heard the Quran like that. But then I heard the English, and I went from liking it to actually loving it because that's what I really wanted. I didn't know how to ask for it, but that's what I really wanted, and I'll translate it for you. It starts off, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of everything that exists. And I thought that makes a lot of sense to me, because people would say to us, you know, that book that Muhammad wrote, the Quran, they'd say that. It's not true, but that's what they say. In case you haven't known, Muhammad couldn't write or read. So they would say that to us. Muhammad wrote the Quran. Well, if that's the case, why would he praise someone else? Like, why would, if I wrote a book, I'm going to be on every page, right? Full color, different poses, this side, you know, and this side, different profiles, wearing different stuff, right? I'm going to even have a thing where I could put perfume, and you could like, know exactly what it is I'm wearing at that photo shoot, right? That's what I do if I had a book, and that's exactly what you would do too. So anyway, that kind of defeated that little myth to me. I realized that Muhammad didn't write the Quran. When I heard praise of someone else, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of everything that exists, the most gracious, most merciful, owner of the Day of Judgment. And this was the cool part for me, right? You alone we worship, and you alone we ask help from. It's like Declaration of Independence. Right? That's how I took that. That's my Declaration of Independence. So guide us to your straight way, the way of those people who you are pleased with, not the way of the people who earn your anger or of those who went astray. But I had questions, like anyone would have questions. Right? I went through the book, tried to find some answers, because The very first part of the next chapter says, this is the scripture wherein there is no doubt, a guide to those who are God conscious. So I thought, wow, this is it. This is my guide. This is what I wanted. I got it. You know, alhamdulillah. I wanted to find a cure for racism because I was into African American history. I was really into that when I was growing up, when I was in high school. And having been to Ireland, where my family's from, I came back from there actually, like a few weeks ago. I now have a huge appreciation for what they lost, for what the African Americans had stripped away from them during the slave trade. So I wanted to find something that had to do with this racism issue. I found a verse in Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verse number 13, where Allah has said to us, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, meaning everyone, right? Not just the Muslims, not just those who believe. Everyone, all people, all humanity, or mankind, if you want to say that. We have created you from a male and a female, from Adam and Eve, right? You believe that, no? Muslims, man, you believe that? Yes, brother. Gosh, you guys sleep already. Anyway, we believe that. We believe that we came from Adam and Eve. So that means we're all what? Related. At least, right? We're all family, at least. In one form or another. I mean, we all look different, and that's fabulous, but we're all family. In one sense, because we were created from Adam and Eve. And you have to be, if you believe that, you have to be related. You have to be. There's no 2 or 3 ways about it. So Allah said, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَىٰ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We made you nations and tribes that you might get to know one another. I mean, I get to travel. This is like the best job on the planet because you get to travel everywhere and you get to learn about different people. And I get to come to England and learn about how to properly make fish and chips. We get to learn all kinds of cool stuff when I'm here. I get to learn different accents, rough. I get to learn that there's a very different thing between being British and being English. British is one language, English is another. A lot, right? So I get to learn a lot about the different cultures and take the halal or the lawful from them and leave off what's not allowed from them. But Allah goes on to say again, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ, that the most honorable of you in the sight of your Creator is the one who is more conscious of Him. So really, it really doesn't matter where you came from. You could be Irish like myself. One of my best friends is from Gambia, which is West Africa. So when we stand together, we look totally different. But he's my family, and I look at him as if he is my family. And if I had a daughter his age, he'd have a wife. He does have one, but still, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And not get in trouble. I insulted the brothers already, so the sisters can protect me if I make them upset. I'll be on my own. So yeah, so again, we're family. As Muslims, we're supposed to believe that we are literally family. In the most honorable of us in the sight of our Creator is the one who is the most conscious of Him. So that kind of killed the whole racism thing for me. I found the solution to it. If it was applied properly, there would probably be no racism right now. Because our Prophet had, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had black companions, he had Roman companions, he had Persian companions. They weren't all Arabs, and that's something that he actually put that into practice, that verse. So I read the story of Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, peace be upon him. That was important because I loved Jesus. I didn't worship him, but I loved him as a teacher and as a prophet and as an amazing personality. And I thought, if there's no Jesus, I'm not interested. Because you can't deny an amazing figure like that. And the Muslims don't. The story is in the book too. It's in Surah Maryam, chapter 19. You guys can go read it. Part of it's also in Surah number 3. Surah Al-Imran. So I read that and I was happy with it. Because they didn't deny him and they didn't worship him. It's kind of like the middle. Which most things in Islam that I know tend to be like that. We don't deny Jesus and we don't worship him at the same time. We love him and we respect him. And we say alayhi salam after his name or peace be upon him. And that's our stand on him basically. He's a prophet and messenger and God has no sons. And that's how the Muslims believe. I went to school and I heard that word for the first time, blind. I wanted to do something, and my teacher looked at me and was like, you know, you can't do that, you're blind. So I went home, and I probably couldn't do it, I forget what it was. I went home, I said, Mom, teacher called me blind today. What's that? I said, you're not blind, you just can't see. So I went to school the next day, met that same teacher. I said, you're a liar! She grounded me. Faced the wall. They came back and I asked me, he said, why'd you say that? Why'd you call me a liar? Yesterday, you said that I'm blind. And my mom said I'm not. My mom said, and I'm 5, so I'm talking like that. My mom said I just can't see. You're a liar. She grounded me again. But I never had that in my house. That word was never used to describe me in my house. Blind was never used. I found a verse in the Quran. And I don't know it all. I can't translate it all for you. The important part to me was إِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ. That it's not the eyes that are blinded, but it's the hearts inside the breast that grow blind. I thought, that is what my whole family has been saying to me since I was born. They weren't using it in the eloquent words that Allah used for it, but that's basically what my mom was telling me. You just can't see. You're not blind though. You just can't see. And that's basically what I caught from that ayah. Well, I heard you changed your religion. Is it true? I said, yeah, sort of, kind of, sort of. It is, yeah, I did. I changed. So what are you now then? I said, I am, I'm a Muslim. Yeah, that's it. Oh, you are. So what do you believe? I said, believe that there's no gods in reality worthy of worship except God. And I believe that He's one and unique in His oneness, and He's in no need of sleep. He is in no need of anything, and He has no partners of any kind, no fathers, no sons, no daughters, no husbands, no wives, no nothing. He's Allah, and He's alone, and He's one. I said, really? Well, I believe that too. I was like, 1-0. 1-0. What else do you believe? I said, we believe that over time, Allah sent us prophets, messengers, peace be upon them all, to teach us how to behave towards each other and how to worship Him properly. Oh, and who are they? Said like prophets like Noah and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Ishmael and Jonah, the one that got swallowed by the whale. I know him. Okay. So and David and Solomon and Moses and Jesus, peace be upon them all. Yeah, you believe in Jesus? Yeah, but not as the Son of God. We don't believe in Him as the Son of God. We believe that He was born from a virgin though, as a miracle. And we believe that He's one of the highest messengers of God. But we don't believe in Him as the Son of God. So well, I guess I believe that too. It's ridiculous for God to have a son. That's what she said to me. I'm just telling you what she said to me. And I said, but we believe in one more prophet. And his name is Muhammad. We believe in him. And we believe that he was talked about in the Bible as well. We believe that he came from Abraham. And he's from the children of Ishmael. From Ismail, the son of Abraham. We believe that he was sent to us as a mercy, and as a mercy to all that exists. Well, I don't know much about him, about Muhammad. But I believe everything else you said, so that must be true as well. I win. Up. I felt like, photos again, I felt like, wow, like, I just, like all the wrestling matches I had over the years, I was the most scared of that particular talk. None of the wrestlers scared me as much as my grandmother scared me. So she came to me, she's like, am I still your grandmother? Oh. That's lovely. So I said, yeah, of course. Why would you not be my grandmother? Of course you're always going to be my grandmother, forever. Okay then. Are you still Irish? Like, yeah. No one can take that away from you. Like, I'm not going to drink Guinness and eat rasher no more, but no one can take rashers like pork, by the way. No one can take that away from me. I'm still going to be Irish though. Like, okay, well. And then she asked me the third, and this question is probably the funniest question I've ever been asked until this day. She asked me, she said, are your teeth going to be white like them Pakistani people teeth are white? I said, what? I said, what? What? They came by my house the other day and did some work for me in my house, and their teeth are gorgeous, so they are. Oh, white and sparkling. I said, you know, my teeth are not bad. And you get like, you feel weird. You start doing this. My teeth are not really bad. I said, no, they're not bad. No, they're not. But they're not shining like those Pakistani people. I said, I'll use Colgate and I'll see what I can do. She was okay. After that, she was fine with me becoming Muslim. All things that went along with it. Again, as far as she's concerned, if you're happy and safe and not arrested, I'm happy. And she passed away, Miskina, like 10 months after that, 9, 10 months after that. So it was really cool to have her at least happy with me before she died. And you know, no one in my family has been difficult. No one in my family. I've had nothing but acceptance from them. They know that they can trust me with anything, hopefully, inshallah. If they need me for anything, I'm not too far away except when I'm leaving, of course. Which is not exactly true because I travel a lot, but you know, I'm only an email away, I guess. So they know where to find me, and they know that my Islam has changed me for the better. And that is basically the story of how I wrestled my way to Islam. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.